Hello, everyone. This is our final Let's Talk Tuesday of the year. I'm Naomi. We have some of our state board officers, Emily and Kennedy. And we also have some guests from Work to Be Well, Sarah and JJ. So this month we are focusing on mental health because it is Mental Health Month, and we just want to highlight it in this as our final one as well. Especially with us wrapping up the year as students, with all our finals and stuff, we just want to make sure that everyone has what they need. If Emily wants to ask the first question.
All right, so Sarah and JJ are from a specific organization called Work to Be Well. That's not all they do, but it is something that they have specialized in. So we want to know what led you to create this organization or kind of be a part of it.
Yeah, I'll start because I am a co-founder of Work to Be Well, actually. So my name is Sarah, and I currently am an educational consultant with Work to Be Well, and my background is in education and student council. So I was the director of the Oregon Association of Student Councils for 10 years, and now I am working with Work to Be Well, and it was founded based on a need from working with our students, and our students came about, and it was just like all of you in student council. That's where it came from, is me as the director and students coming to me, actually, and it was 2017, so about 5 years ago. Students came and we're talking about the importance of mental health and wanting to talk about it more. And we were struggling in Oregon, is where I'm from. At the time, we were having quite a few deaths by suicides. And after each death, sadly, tough times. And it was tough to rebuild that feeling of school climate and culture in a school afterwards. And a lot of people were looking towards student council members to help and after a death. And we didn't know what to do. And so we started talking, and we started working together and realizing we needed more resources and we needed supports. And that's when we partnered with Providence Health System. And at the time, it was a Be Well campaign was happening on the radio with iHeartRadio. And so we started out with that. And then the students said, we don't just be well, we have to work at it. We got to work to be well. And the students made up the name. We started meeting regularly. The pandemic hit, and we went national. We maybe faster than what we were anticipating, because all of a sudden we were virtual and students from across the nation could join in. And that's how we met JJ as we expanded nationally, and the students from across the nation got to hear about what we were doing and join in. So JJ, I'll let you chime in then about like how you heard about Work to Be Well.
Yes, of course. So my advisor, Miss Jamie, I go to Sandy Valley High School, and Miss Jamie, our advisor, recommended me this opportunity for Work to Be Well. And when I heard about it, heard about the mission. It was really inspiring for me because mental health was definitely one of my personal struggles in my early years. And when I heard about this organization that's making these resources for mental health more accessible to teenagers, that's something that I definitely want to be a part of. Right now, I am a team member for Team Access for Work to Be Well. And what we do in Team Access is that we push these resources through one of the most accessible forms of communication to teens, and that is social media. And another thing why I wanted to do this, because I also I like graphic design, so that's something I wanted to do. So I wanted to help work with that. And that's why I wanted to, and that's why I joined Work to Be Well, because that's exactly what I wanted to do, was help people going through mental health struggles, sort of pull them out of the rut, like I did, with myself and with friends. So that's what I wanted to do.
That's awesome. JJ, I'm going to give the shameless plug for you that it is at Work, the number 2 Be Well, at Work to Be Well on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook, all the platforms, and at Providence on TikTok. But where they can see some of the work that your team is doing on social media. There's posts every single day, and that our hope is that schools and people listening will follow that and share. Because there's a lot of great resources that JJ's team is working on.
Okay, with finals coming up and schools kind of cracking down as the quarter ends and the school year comes to close, what is one thing that you can do to improve your mental health through habits?
That's a great question. Well, I'm not currently in school. I'm a few years out, but I also talk to teens every day and guide them through this and help with. So there's a few. I just actually finished a book on this. One little thing that I've been working on is this is going to sound so silly, but I high five myself in the mirror in the morning. I high five myself in the mirror and I say, "You got this." And it's a little habit because every morning you get up and I have to go to the bathroom. And when you go to the bathroom, you walk by a mirror. And when you walk by a mirror, naturally, my reaction used to be like, oh, like that morning, I'd look at the morning hair, morning face, whatever it was. And you're like, oh. And so now one habit that I have started to start my day better and to be more positive is to walk by. And when you naturally high five yourself, there's always a positive connection. We have a positive connection with high five. It's a positive. And we're always cheering everybody else on. Why are we not cheering ourselves on? And so for me, that sets up my day of just walking by the mirror and I high five myself and I say, you got this. And it just changes that attitude from being negative of like looking at myself negative in the mirror to a positive. So that's one little habit that I've worked on. And then one other thing that I do is time block. I set aside chunks of time to get things done where I put my phone away or I put on my computer on do not disturb for 30 minutes and say, in 30 minutes, you're going to do this. So I have to set limits and boundaries on my time in order to feel productive and get things done, which is probably similar to students with all of the homework things. So JJ, what are you doing?
It's like, thank you for mentioning it because I almost forgot about finals week. And then now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, here comes finals week.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you.
Advice that I definitely would give is that try not to spread yourself too thin. Finals week is definitely super overwhelming and you have all these different subjects and all these different tests you have to prepare for. But it's like, if you try to let's say cram everything in a really short amount of time or just really just have your mind in too many places, I feel like that definitely will take a toll, and then and don't be too hard on yourself. If something, if it doesn't work out, it's going to be okay. Because I feel like if that mental degradation, it's just really gonna make everything sort of topple down. You know what I'm saying? So if you start being really, really tough on yourself, really doubting yourself and not sort of believing in yourself a little bit, it hurts everything. And
that reminds me, JJ, of a quote that I shared in a meeting once that we had. I remember it was like, every single one of you, your success rate of bad days, of making it through bad days, is 100%. Every single one of you, your success rate is 100% on making it through bad days. So when you're having those tough days and those bad days, like JJ says, it's going to be okay because you've got 100% success rate on getting through them and it will work out.
I love that. That's a really cute quote. Kind of going off the bad mental health days or whatever. What helps you personally change your mood if you're having a bad mental health day?
JJ, I'm going to throw it to you first.
For me, when it comes to bad mental health days, it's definite. One of the things that I definitely like to do is just sort of turn everything off. You know what I'm saying? It's just sort of just blank, because I feel like if I continue thinking about things, even though I'm having bad mental health day, it just sort of just piles on in itself and it doesn't make anything better. So I mean, I just taking a day or a couple hours just to really relax and just sort of just ignore everything. I mean, it sounds kind of bad, but just ignore everything for a little bit and then, get back to it. So just give yourself those little breaks. And I think that's what really helps me during those mental health breaks, eating your favorite food, doing something comforting or working out, trying something, do something that blows off a little bit of steam or just give some time to yourself.
That's awesome. When you say that, it totally reminds me. That was what I put myself in a timeout. So just like when you're a little kid, I put myself in a timeout. It's I also think of those big bubbles, putting yourself in surrender up in those big bubbles. It's I have to, when I'm having a bad mental health day and I'm not in a proper space, I have to put myself in a timeout, because what often happens for me is I say things that maybe I don't mean, and I can hurt people's feelings when I'm not in a good space. And so I have to be cautious of how I treat other people when I'm not in a good space. And the best way for me to do that is to sort of keep myself removed, like JJ said, like a timeout for a few hours or taking that day in order to get myself together, in order to do that. So taking a timeout, I also think like visually, I also think of like a trampoline. And this is from Top 20 Teens, actually. I think below the line, above the line. And with that, when I'm below the line is sort of those tougher days, I have to think about what are the things that trampoline me back up. And Work to Be Well actually has an emotional first aid kit on our website that we talk about and use all the time. And it's like, what are those things that help you? And it's music. It can be people, it can be actions like JJ talked about, some of the things that they do, like, the exercise or the eating or whatever that may be. For me, it's walking. So it's like knowing that for yourself before you have the bad day. You don't wait for the bad day to think about what you need to do. We need to start talking about it and planning for it now when you're having a good day. So that way you're ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like you have to have kind of a minute to like shut everything out and like focus on yourself, especially when you're like having a day like that. Going off of that, I know a lot of the audience that watches these Let's Talk Tuesdays is high schoolers because we advertise it like to the NASC website. I mean, of course, there's adults who watch it, but majority of our audience is high schoolers and teens. So why do you think that teens should especially focus on their mental health, and like why is it important to their development?
JJ, you're a teen, so I'm going to let you answer first, and then I'll take it.
So I see sort of mental health as sort of like the foundation almost for like everything that you do for your well-being. And if the foundation is bad, the building collapses. So that's why I think that mental health is definitely something really important that teens should be focusing on, because it's just that's that well-being, and if the well-being isn't good, then nothing good is going to come out of that. And I think that's why it's definitely
It's awesome. I absolutely believe that. I love your analogy with the foundation. And I think of it as also we talk about, like in the ECPR program, we talk about physical health and mental health. And in physical health, you have to work at it. And that's where even the name Work to Be Well came from. Like, you don't just automatically become, physically fit, the top of your, or if you're in athletics or whatever it may be, it doesn't just happen. You have practices and practices and practices before the big game. If you also, like, if you're running a marathon, like, you train, you practice, and then you've got the big day, whatever that may be. Or, if you're not athletic, I wasn't actually very athletic, so I understand the athletic analogies, but I think of it even like in any form of, if it's art, you're practicing, you're drawing, you're practicing your skill. And then there's maybe a competition or whatever it may be. And it's the same with mental health. If a huge moment of stress comes your way and you've never practiced with how to handle little stressors, then when a big moment comes, a big stressor comes, you're not going to know how to handle it. And that's why it's like, stress is good. It's not all bad. We've been trained to think that all stress is bad. It's not. It helps us grow. It helps us learn. It helps, our brains. And so I think for teens, it's really, learning that mental health is a muscle. It's a thing that we have to work at. We have to, in order to be strong in that area, and practice it. So I think it's so important for teens too, because I want to make sure that they're resilient. So when those tough times come, they know how to handle it. They have tools. We always talk about tools in your tool belt too, like things that you can do and have ready to go. So it's not as scary when those moments happen. And the same for helping our friends. It's proven that teens turn to teens. And I think maybe all of you can speak to that. Like, who are you turning to when you're having, troubles? Are you turning to adults in your life first, or are you turning to other teens? And then I guess that's why I would say it's important for teens to have that knowledge, because I'd love to hear from you. Like, who do you turn to? And that may answer our questions on why it's important for teens to have this knowledge.
Yes, I love that. Okay, so a lot of teens, like we just talked about, reach out for help, whether that's to another teenager, peer, someone who they may look up to. So what is one piece of advice that you would give to someone trying to be an advocate for mental health or understand someone going through it?
That's great. I'll start that one, and then JJ, you tag on with anything I may have missed. But this speaks directly to our ECPR, which is emotionally connect, partner, respond. And it's similar to like CPR. If somebody's having a heart attack, you may know what to do because you've taken the class. And ECPR, emotionally connect, partner, respond, is exactly that. How to help somebody who's having a tough time. What do you do? Well, first we connect with those people. We ask questions, and we talk about what questions like tell me more, questions like how are you okay, I've noticed you're acting a little different lately. Like, we can connect with that, a human to human connection. We can ask how they're doing, and then we partner. We need to know what our resources are available to us. We need to know that Youth Line's there, Teen Line's there. Like, who can we partner with? Our school counselor, our mental health specialist. Like, who can you help them? Because it's not, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a mental health specialist. I'm an educator, but I know how to find resources to help teens. And so I want to help my teens know where those resources are. And then respond is like that follow up, like making sure that that individual got the help, knows where to go, and was able to connect. So, and then practicing that. What are those places? So that's one thing that I would say to other teens is like, it's okay to ask people how they're doing. And it's also okay to share resources with them when you don't know how to help.
And like another thing I want to add on to that is like when you're talking to someone that's going through something, it's try to be a really good listener, and like just really be flexible and be really patient with them, because they're definitely going through something, and it's when they come to you about it, it's definitely something like they trust you, they really have that trust in you when they're coming to you, and you definitely want to show that back to them. It's like that sort of same respect, give them that respect, and that just give them that love and affection, because they probably really need it, And yeah,
that's
definitely
great advice.
Don't know the answer, it's definitely okay to point to other resources. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's great wisdom.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I've had people in my like close inner circle of friendships like struggle a lot. So I always just try to be like a resource or just someone to listen, because sometimes they need to like vent and just maybe get it out there and just have someone know that they're going through something, that they know someone's there for them, like loves them, which is always something I try to be. But then I think also going on the other hand of just like being there for them and like being like a resource. How do you guys think that schools can be a better resource for students struggling with mental health?
Yeah, following up with that before answering really quick that question, going off with JJ, I also like the thing when you're talking to a friend, or like, do you want me just to listen, or do you want me to help provide solutions? Like asking them right away, because making sure, like, because sometimes I think we're so quick to help them and give those resources, we forget to listen. So just backtracking to, it's like, what do you need me for? Listening or giving advice? And maybe it's at first it's listening, and they're like, okay, you listen, now give me advice. But it might be both. But I think asking that question and just being really open, like, what do you need from me, can be helpful too. And I think that's the same from our schools, right? It literally goes right into what can our schools do? Our schools can listen. Our schools can listen to teen voice and say, what are our teens really needing? And then they can actually, provide those resources. But I think one of the things for sure for me is funding for more school counselors. Our school counselor to student ratio is way too high. There's, and our school counselors are doing way too many things with scheduling and college career advice, and that they're not able to always be there to really help when mental health, needs. I have one student I remember told me that they were having an anxiety attack in high school. This is just this fall. And they said they went to the counseling office to say, I'm having an anxiety attack, I need some help. And they said to schedule an appointment, and the next available appointment was in 3 days. And I hear that's not the only time I've heard that story. It's like, to make an appointment, and this is a large school. This is a school of 2,000 students and about 500 students per counselor. So I'm not blaming the counselor in this reason, because they're overloaded and busy too. But what can we get that support, where we can get those numbers lower, where you don't have to, or create more mental health, like wellness rooms in the school where you don't have to make an appointment with a counselor. There's a wellness room or a quiet space or a stress releasing place where you can go and just have that time out that JJ talked about, that quiet place where if you need the break in the middle of the day for an hour, you can do that without having to miss the whole day of school potentially. So I would love to see every single school having a wellness center, a wellness room. I've also heard of them being run by alumni, former retired teachers, volunteers. I think you can get really creative with resources for that as well.
Absolutely, I agree. And that is like a huge part of what some of the school systems are missing. And I don't think that they see that enough, and there's not enough like student advocacy to be able to like put a change to that. But I hope that someday schools will realize that mental health is actually a lot more important than they're making it out to be. Going along with that, I know that mental health is a huge part of it, is trying to balance everything that is going on in your life. And that's where a lot of especially students struggle, because we have school, some people have extracurricular activities. So extracurricular activities, how do you think students especially can balance like maybe having soccer or like Stuco after school, but also trying to balance everything and go home without having tons of homework? Like how can they kind of find ways to get around that or adapt to the challenges that are being faced in their busy schedules?
I'll let you take that.
So sort of going back to what I said earlier about spreading yourself too thin. This is when you start having all these, there's a lot of things that we want to accomplish in a day, but it's like, there's not enough time. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But then you're going to have to, so when you start having all these things going on, you're definitely going to have to start beginning to prioritize really what makes you happy and what you really want to do. Because again, it's like, if you start spreading yourself too thin, then that's when just like complete utter chaos. That's, from my perspective, that's just what happens. And I think that happens to me too. And it's like, I have to drop certain things that I want to do in order to do things that are either like really more important or make me more happier than what I dropped off. So that's something that I would definitely recommend. It's not maybe what they want to hear, but that's maybe something that you have to do, because having too many items on your plate at one time is going to be a lot worse than maybe dropping some of your extracurriculars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you say that, it reminds me of somebody saying, everyone's like, say no to things. But for years and years, I did not. I was horrible with my mental health, my physical health, both were not in a good spot because I said yes to everything. But I justified it in my brain because I was like, I want to do these things. I said yes because I want to. I love these things. But JJ, you nailed it when you said sometimes you have to say no to things you want to do, to things you like to do. And I think that's the key thing. That's exactly it. Totally nailed it. You can't say yes to everything, even if it's something you love to do. You have to prioritize important things. And that means maybe sometimes stepping back from something that you love to do. And I think that's something that we honor and have seen on our Work to Be Well board. We have students that step up at different times and others that step down at different times. And it's okay. We don't expect all 30 of our students to be 100% in all the time. There's times where they're busy in their lives and they've stepped back, and then that's time for other students to step up and shine. So I think making sure that you really thinking about that team, and like, if you have to step down from somebody, who can you lean on, or having those friendships or adult supports in your life that can help you with some of those decisions or priorities, and having people around you that can help in those areas, like your support team, if you will, and knowing when to step back and knowing when to that you can step up. Because I think there's like seasons in life when we can, there's always times that are a little bit busier and times that we can do more. So starting to learn that about yourself, but definitely even saying no to things that you love to do, which is not always what you want to do.
Yeah, I think it's really important just to like prioritize, like you said, and also just set your boundaries for yourself, because like you need to know how much you can take. And it's like, if it's getting too much, you need to go to someone, or you need to know this is time for me to stop doing this, or just cut this part off because it's putting too much pressure on me. And I think just knowing to what extent you can go is very important.
Yeah.
So that's
I even sorry.
No, you're all good. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I was going to say sometimes even changing, like in the morning, I used to, I do better if I get a walk in or a workout or a stretch or something in the morning. Cause if I wait till later in the day, too many things have, piled on by then, and I make excuses and whatnot. So I'm better in the morning, but yet I was struggling in the morning. But when I actually put it in my calendar as an appointment with myself, I stuck to it a little bit better. So I guess going back with like, what's a way, the strategy is like, you talked about like making it things that are appointments, non-negotiable. And then I would tell people, instead of being like, oh, I have yoga in the morning, they'd be like, oh, you can change it, you can cancel it. But I wouldn't tell them that. I would say, I have an appointment at 8, but I could meet at 9. Nobody questioned if I said I had an appointment at 8 versus I didn't have to tell them it was yoga. Like, that's my own boundary that I set. Like, so I think you can make appointments and put things in your calendar, and you can say, I have an appointment. And it could be an appointment with yourself. It could be a boundary, a time with yourself, but knowing that you've scheduled out that time to take care of you is another strategy.
I love setting appointments for yourself. That sounds like a good way to set boundaries for yourself. But that was like our final question for Let's Talk Tuesday. I didn't know if you guys wanted to add anything, just any resources that you guys have, social media or anything. You can plug it one more time if you want to.
Go for it, JJ. Give them that website.
Give me 1 second. We're recruiting.
Yes. Oh yeah.
That's all about that. Yes, we are recruiting for Work to Be Well. Let's see. Let me pull it. I don't have the link on hand right now. Give me one.
Yeah. Well, I can tell them where. So worktobewell.org. And then under About is a drop down that has National Student Advisory Council. And then that's going to tell you everything about the National Student Advisory Council. And from there, JJ, I guess you can tell them how to go on that page.
Yeah, hold on, give me one. Yeah, so after you click the National Advisory Council on the website, you're going to see, let's see, these, it's going to tell you what Work to Be Well is, and then the 3 separate teams that it's sort of divided in. So like I mentioned before, I was on Team Access, and then we also have Team Education and Team Activation. Let's see, and then on the website, it does let you, gives you brief descriptions of all of those separate teams. And then let's see, on the bottom, if you scroll all the way down, there's going to be a blue bar that says apply to be a NSAC member. And that's going to give you the application link is also there too. And then, all the dates and timelines that you need to know to apply. So, it's a wonderful opportunity, and it was great, really amazing working with all of these other teens who share the same ideals and passions that I had about work to be about mental health. And you know what? It's like, it doesn't hurt to try. I feel like there was when I was first thinking about this, when my advisor told me about this opportunity, it was definitely a little bit shaky for me. And it's like, oh, this is, something new for me, and and just go at it, just sort of go at it head first, and just, maybe, and you'll probably, it'll be it's a rewarding experience. You'll be great. It'll turn out great for you in the future. So I think that I recommend that any teen should definitely try it out, and you'll help, and they'll probably like it. You'll probably like it. So
that's awesome. Thank you for remembering our National Student Advisory Council plug, and it's due May 16th. So you still have time to get in that application and apply. And right now we have 30 students from 10 different states in 4 different time zones across the United States. So like JJ said, you get to meet people, like-minded teens from across the nation. And we're hoping to even have more states involved next year. So lots of opportunities available, opportunities for learning to give presentations. Our students are actually going to be trained on ECPR in a few weeks. So we have a Dr. Jerry on our team who's going to be doing that training. So there's a lot of opportunities for learning. Students can be on national podcasts as well. So I want to plug that. We have Talk to Be Well on Spotify, Talk to Be Well, and students on our National Student Advisory Council talk to Dr. Robin Henderson on that. So check that out. It's also a link on our website. So worktobewell.org, Talk to Be Well on Spotify, all the social media plugs we gave earlier at Work to Be Well. And again, join the National Student Advisory Council. And And if that's not for you, then think about what you can do at your school level to join. Is there a club? If not, you can start a club, and we have a guide for that too. All the things, there's lots of opportunities, but I guess just keep the conversations going.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for the discussion today. So this is our final Let's Talk Tuesday for this year. So we just wanted to say thank you for helping us with this conversation and just getting it started. So we'll just say goodbye to everyone that's watching right now. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
It was so nice talking to everyone. I loved it.
Yeah.